welcome back to the channel. It has been a while and I apologize for that, but not really, because life has been busy in the best kind of way. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be making something, and I'm glad to be making something with this. So I have talked about cameras a lot on here, and I'm just going to get into it. I am selling all my Fuji gear. The XT5, as fantastic as it is, I just never connected with it. After the initial dopamine, dump of new camera, it just found itself in a bag or in my Pelican case more often than not. My XH2S, that one hurts me. I will miss that camera a lot, and I think it is still super underrated, but I'm thinning my system down from 2 bodies to just one that'll do everything the way I want it to do. And I've been looking for that for a while. I've tried it with a couple R5s by Canon, and the lenses are just too massive. I've talked about that regardless. So instead, I've jumped fence and I'm playing for their arch nemesis. I have picked up a Nikon Z6iii, if you're across the water there. And there's a couple of reasons, and I'm only talking about the positives today, except for one, and I'll save that till the very end. There's one thing I want to complain about, because every review I've saw or watched or read about this camera have just been about what's wrong with it, what could be better. I mean, they touch on the things that are good, obviously, but like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to put myself in that headspace of just complaining all the time. So here I am, your daily dose of sunshine, your ray of hope today. Just talking about the things I like about the Z6iii and why I personally decided to go this route. I should insert a disclaimer here. I only own one lens for this camera currently, and it's not even a Z native mount. It is adapted F mount glass. It's the 85 1.8G, which is great. It's been awesome. I've shot an entire wedding, and actually every photo that you see on here, there's not a ton. I'm not gonna throw so much at you that it's overwhelming, but every image that I post here toward the end of the video will be from the 85 lens. I borrowed this lens from work because we don't use it anymore, but it's the APS-C kit lens, the 18-55, just so I had some room for a talking head video, because I was really wanting to make some video with this, because as of today, this is the first video I've shot on this camera. You're watching it for the first time. You're seeing the autofocus with me for the first time. You will see if I can grade this or not for the first time. And I love that process, though. I love learning, so I'm excited about that as well. So a few things that I really like about this camera and inspired me to use it, and I've not left my house without it since. First of all, is the ergonomics. It's no surprise that Nikon makes a camera that fits well in the hand. This is something that Sony has been missing on forever. I've never owned a Sony camera and I'm like, oh man, I really enjoy picking this up. Files are great, autofocus is wonderful, feels like crap in my hand, except for the FX line. I do love those, but I'm photo first. So ergonomics is great. Battery life is pretty good. I own 4 now, but I really only use 2 on a daily basis, even if that. I should also kind of, I guess, give you a little bit of history. I've only owned one other Nikon camera ever, and it was the D750, which was great. And it's kind of a legend in its own, that line. So I went from mirrorless back to DSLR for a little while, then realized that is not a step I can take. That is not a move that I'm comfortable making. I like the newer technology. I like the way that it lets me work. I like the way that it helps me see the things that I see. So I shifted back to mirrorless, and have since then been looking for something, similar. And I've tried a bunch of cameras, and I don't think until now Nikon has had a camera that really has my attention. The Z8, the Z9 are both fantastic. The Z8 obviously is the higher megapixel, bigger brother to the Z6iii in my opinion. The Z9 is that with the built-in body grip. I'm not going to use that camera. I'm not going to throw it around my neck to walk for coffee or to have dinner with my family. So that's out. I was curious about the partially stacked sensor, and so far it's been awesome. A lot of people have complained about the dynamic range. I'm not one of those people. I think it's been fine for photo use, especially. Once again, first video, so we'll see how that holds up. But if it doesn't, you're not gonna hear about it here. I'm not complaining about that here. The autofocus, right? First of all, I should also preface that I love threads, and I commented asking if I should pick up this camera. Some of those comments and responses are there, and they're not really wrong. The autofocus alone, I think, has been an improvement for my Fuji system, and that's refreshing because I never felt the Fuji system was really lacking personally. It did great. It was a perfect? Absolutely not. And obviously we know that after that last firmware update, things went south, but that's okay. They'll get it figured out. I'm very confident in Fuji and their updates. So, I love the ergonomics. I'm loving the autofocus. It is an adjustment. If you've never used this system, it is different than anything else I've ever used, and it's just gonna take some getting used to. But so far, I have found some tutorials online that have made it super easy, and I'm really liking it. Back button focusing and no complaints. No, you see the theme today, no complaints. So the colors. I think the Nikon colors are fantastic. I've never loved the Canon colors like everyone else has. They're good for sure. Like, I mean, they have been around and been the staple for so long for a reason, but they don't speak to me. And as much as I love Fuji, I've learned every time that I shoot Fuji, my way of editing and my way of shooting, not my way of shooting so much, but my way of editing and my final product is different. It's broader than any other work that I make, and I don't love that. That's not who I am. But it's like, I don't know why, like it just felt better. That's what that image wanted. That's what taking that sensor and that shot for me, that was the result that was needed, and that's not who I am. I like my moody imagery. I like deep dark shadows, harsh blacks sometimes. So I love the camera, but the colors they just make me think differently. So the colors of the Nikon camera are great, especially in the greens. And typically I'm not a big green guy, but living here in Northeast Tennessee and very close to what I just learned about from Aiden Robbins' YouTube channel is a rainforest here in the Appalachian, which is pretty cool. Another thing that I think is really probably silly, I absolutely love when I'm shooting in portrait orientation that all of the menus flip to the bottom. You can still see everything without having to twist and like try to read sideways. It just silly, honestly, that we have waited this long for that to happen, I think, in technology, but it's fantastic. So the ergonomics, the autofocus, the colors, the user-friendly, it's usable, it's intuitive. Obviously the viewfinder, people have talked about this thing. The only other viewfinder I've liked as much is the one on my SL2S, which was phenomenal. And honestly, I think this one's probably even better. That's my personal preference. That's not comparing stats. This one just feels as natural to use as the Leica did. I did prefer the eye cup on the Leica, but I mean, I really don't even pay attention to that when I'm in the moment and I'm shooting. So those are some of the things I really like. These are some of the things that I think Nikon got correct in this camera finally. And I think that a community of people have been waiting for that for a very long time, and I think they nailed it. So Nikon, congrats. We all know that Nikon acquired Red recently, and I think that has been a big factor in the technology that they pumped into this thing. And I'm not talking specs, but I think that is a much more capable camera than I'm a capable creator. So I hope that means that this will last me a very long time, as I'm in the stage where I like to have things that work and make me inspired to use them. And other than my film cameras, I've not had a digital camera that's done that yet, except for the SL2S. But I just could not justify staying in that L-mount ecosystem. Everything's just expensive. The stuff that I wanted was just expensive. SL3. But all right, here comes the one complaint. And this is for any camera company, not just this one. And this isn't even about this camera. It's not about I'm not complaining about anything this camera delivers. I'm complaining about what Nikon did not deliver with this camera. That's freaking battery charger. Why? What are we doing? Why in 2024 are you selling a camera and a battery with no way to charge it other than plugging the camera into the wall? I want to play with it. I want to get it out. I want to feel. I want to go through the menus. I want to get it set up. Like, I don't want to wait an hour and a half, 2 hours for a battery to charge before I can utilize this tool that I have been so excited about for days to pick up. Do better. Just include the battery charger. Come on. You know what I mean? Or at least include a charged battery to get us started, maybe? I don't know. Why? Someone explain to me why, other than financially, why that makes sense for anyone to do. Make us buy something else. But let's go grade this footage. As you can see behind me there, that's my talking head in the same shirt from earlier today when I shot this, and really screwed up and forgot to lock off my white balance. So as the light was changing outside, even though I have it pretty blacked out in here, it does leak, and you could tell there were some color shifts. So hopefully that problem is fixed. If not, I will let you know in this video. Here's some photos from the wedding I talked about that I've shot. Just some life, some greens, just a few photos to end this video and to say thanks for being here. And let's just see what Nikon does with this thing going forward. I'm very excited to get a Z mount lens, and honestly would love to know what lens you think would be the first one I should buy. Tell me down below. Thanks for being here. See ya.